Yo, what's good, everybody? Today is April the 8th, 2025. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for yet another opportunity of prayer. We thank you, God, for allowing us the gift to see yet another day. Thank you, God, for your grace, your mercy, as well as your love, oh God. We ask you, God, that you will bless this broadcast as well as our viewers and their families as well, oh God. I ask you, God, that you will be with and comfort everybody that's suffering in Kentucky and Arkansas and that area of our country dealing with flooding and what have you. We ask you, God, that you would just keep them covered with your precious blood. We ask all these things in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus' name. We pray, amen. Yo, what's good, everybody? Y'all come on in. We're gonna keep it short and brief tonight. Let me know what platform you guys are watching on. We will be going maybe a month or so. We will be going straight YouTube. We won't be able to. I don't know. I gotta look at the details. Keep getting all these notifications about all these Facebook changes, and I don't really want to deal with the hassle. So we're probably going to be going over to the YouTube channel permanently, but I will let you guys know as I get the information and the details on that. I want to say happy born day to everybody that celebrated on this past week. Um, my man Lou Zapata, happy born day, Lou. Ryan Brown, a couple other people. Um, Pastor Sharonette Smart, happy born day. And everybody else that celebrated their born day on this previous week. Just don't look good. I'm sorry, I got the game on in the background, which is probably why we won't be here too long. I want to see this game. Um, like I said, happy born day to everybody that celebrated. Then my man Hot Rod, you guys seen the pictures in the pre-show announcement, celebrated his milestone birthday on Sunday. So happy born day to bro. Salute. Love you. Know I love you, bro. Enjoy your vacation and time away. If anybody deserve it, it's you. You know what I mean? So big ups to you, sis, Aaliyah. Y'all have a good time and represent. Oh, I need to. Hey, make sure you bring back the information for Aaliyah new friend too, man. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to meet me a new friend. Um, yeah, get that information for your bro. Um, and everybody, please, please, please keep my friend. Yo, what's good, bro? Everybody keep my friend Danielle in her prayers, in our prayers, as she lost her daughter. Um, my heart is with you guys during this trying time. So please, please, please keep her in her sons as well as the father in your prayers. I'm dead serious, bro. Bring back the information. But yeah, keep her and the family in your prayers during this time of bereavement. What's good, Jen? Um, yeah, man. So we're gonna get into it, man. Like I said, I wanted to celebrate my boy born day. Couple of quick hitters. We ain't gonna be here too long. Real talk, we're not gonna be here long at all. Want to get off into this Knicks and Celtics game. But congratulations to the ladies of UConn on their national championship, Coach Gino, as well as all those players. Hey, what's good, Sam? Hey, Sam, too, you come on if you want. Let me know if you want to come on for a quick minute to talk about the effects of this tariffs. Look, piggyback a little bit off of what y'all was talking about last night. You're more than welcome to if you want. Um, but shout out to the ladies of UConn on their national championship. Um, Great Final Four, as well as on the men's side. Congratulations to the Florida Gators on winning their third championship, their third in 20 years, which is impressive in itself. Um, so shout out to those guys. They coach, becoming the youngest coach to win a national championship since Jimmy V at NC State. And we know how long ago that was. I believe that was what 85, 86, somewhere around there. So shout out to them guys playing a great game. Um, yeah, man. And it was like, okay, I got you, Sam. Um, yeah, they I had posted it after the game too. No slight to them guys, but I was just wondering you guys' take on that. Like, do you guys think that college basketball is being scripted as well now with this NIL money and just the way that it's constructed? Um, Me and my brother was having a conversation about it. Like the mid majors mod is what they got to come up with something new because this is totally different. Like this with this NIL money, a mid majors don't stand a chance at winning. You know what I mean? When you got coaches like Rick Pitino saying that pretty much if you coming out of high school, you don't stand a chance to play for his school because he's going to the portal and for experienced players. You know what I mean? If you got 20, 30 games on the college level under your belt already, it really doesn't matter where you have experience, and that speaks volumes as opposed to just taking a chance, especially in an era where we got kids doing just one and done. So I think that's a valid question. Like, is it scripted? Because I don't see how Houston gave that game away. No, like I said, not taking nothing away from Florida, but watching that game, it was kind of boring in the first. Number one versus number one will be like this every year now. That's what I'm saying, right? Like the mid majors, they don't stand a chance. We're not going. And what me and Steve was saying when we were talking about it, like when you think about it, it takes away from it's to me, it's taken away from uh it's taken away from the excitement of March Madness. You know what I'm saying? We used to look forward to March Madness because of the upsets. To see a number 15 beat a number 2 and what have you. Who this school here? Like we gotta go Google and look them up on the map, see where they located at. Like that was a big St. Peter's. Everybody fell in love with St. Peter's just a few years ago, on that nice little run they had. Those days, as we know it, is over. Like Rod said, we living in an era now where those days are gone. All we're gonna see is number ones and number 2 seeds from here on out. And I think that is going to kind of I just don't see the excitement factor like it used to be. I could be wrong, but I think those days are gone. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Sam. Those days are far, far behind us. We're in a different era now. I'm getting you the link now, Sam. Um, y'all give me 1 second. Because even on the ladies' side, like it's different. And it makes sense for them to like go back to school on the ladies' side because they're not making that type of money that they will make on these NIL deals in the WNBA per se. So it makes sense for them to keep on coming back and get that bag while they can because one, you got that aspect of it. Then you don't have as many teams in the WNBA, so it's less opportunities going to that next level. You know what I'm saying? And you're not making that same money. Some of these girls are making way more money on a college level than they will make in the WNBA. So it makes sense to stay. I just tried to shoot it to you, Sam. Just let me know if you got it or not. Um, yeah, so that's a whole different era in itself, or a different aspect or component, as opposed to like a Cooper Flag. Like people talking about, well, we don't know if Cooper Flag is coming out. Cooper Flag was playing against the USA Olympic team before the Olympics, before the season even started. And everybody was already saying like how good he was, which is why, as much as I hate to admit it, I thought the school in Durham was going to win it all, having somebody like Cooper Flag and the kid from South Sudan. I remember him playing in the Olympics, watching him play, and I'm like, they got Cooper Flag, who's going to be number 1 pick, and this kid that's holding his own against NBA players, our top NBA players at that in the Olympics. So I thought Duke was like, I thought they was going to win it all for sure. I thought it was going to be a no brainer, but it's so much when you add the aspect of Vegas being involved, all these different variables. I think that totally changes the game. You know what I mean? It's so much. I've lost all faith in all sports pretty much at this point because you don't know what's authentic, what's real, because the integrity of all sports. So much money is involved with the gambling and whatnot. I don't know what to trust. I still watch, but I don't necessarily trust these outcomes because anything could be, scripted, so to speak. Made to fit a certain narrative. I'm sorry. That's I needed that needed that. That's good. Some good water. Um, yeah, that and then I also wanted to get into I had posted the picture of Anthony Edwards. I wanted to know you guys' take on that as well. You know, well before we get to Anthony Edwards, we just shout out to Carmelo Anthony, first ballot Hall of Famer. Um, he won a national championship in his 1 year in college. Now going to the Hall of Fame on his first chance. Now that they shortened the length up that you got to be removed from basketball. So shout out to Melo, stay Melo, number 7. Yo, what's good, Jew? You right on time, Jew. We talking about Melo, and just the new landscape of college sports, college athletics. I think it's totally different, and I think we, like I said, we all agree that March Madness is not going to be the same. It's never be the same again with all this NIL money and the transfer portal, what have you, where people don't have to wait anymore. And it's almost like and that's what I was saying as far as the mid majors. The mid majors need to create their own little thing to where they could be almost like a G League version of college basketball. You know what I mean? Where you could go to mid majors, still get the ultimate goal is to get to the league or what have you. So why not use the mid majors for that? You know what I mean? Because they don't stand a fighting chance. They literally don't stand a fighting chance in this new era of basketball for like Sam said. What's up, Sam?
What's going on?
What have you. Those days are long gone. And I think that for one, you already have a lot of people that's really not into college athletics at that. But like I said, that was a part of the excitement of March Madness. Seeing like a James Madison and a Wichita State and all these George Mason, all these different schools here, like upset the big ones. Like, yo, who is this kid? Like, it just added a different aspect of excitement to the tournament and it gave you something to look forward to. I remember years where I would put a PTO day in at work just to make sure I could see and enjoy the first 2 days of the tournament.
Yeah.
We were really big on basketball like that, but it was something about it was like a buildup. You know what I mean? Especially those first 2 days because you got to come in swinging. Anthony always had a smooth New York City game, absolutely. And in my basketball group, you could talk about this, Drew. I was gonna put in my basketball group. Who was a better in Knicks history? Obviously, I'm a Knicks fan, but who was a better scorer, Bernard King or Carmelo Anthony? I think that would be a good up for debate. Now, if you was born after 1975, I really don't care about your opinion or your answer because you have no idea who Bernard King is and the assassin that he was. That's something that's strictly for the OGs in the building. But yeah, Sam, you wanted to talk about that a little bit, like your take on how the game is changing as far as the way it's structured.
Yeah, well, I basically think the issue is not with the NIL paying athletes. The issue is that when they incorporated that law, they didn't put any regulation on it. So they didn't put any caps. They didn't put they literally put nothing. So now you even have now like in NCAA women's basketball, they're making more than all the WNBA players. They're making more than even some of the NBA players. I'm not talking about the top tier guys, but you look at the salary and you look at endorsements, and I think because they did no regulation, and now that they killed where your junior college, if you go to junior college, that doesn't count against your college time anymore. They passed that. So now you're going to have people like you're going to have like 26-year-old freshmen, because they're going to go to like some prep school for a couple years. Then they're going to go to JUCO for 2 years. Then they at 24, so I think them not putting any regulations on it, because right now everybody is strictly, UConn is one of the few teams where they don't have females like swarming into the transfer portal. Because I think that's what the coach did. He recruited them. Like any female that got recruited for UConn, Gino told them, you may not play for a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was up front with that, and I think they came accepting that. But now you have all these prima donnas, you have all these kids coming up, and with no regulation, the sky is literally the limit. Like they're not even going to go overseas no more because it's only, I think the conference that the Russian teams in is one of the highest paying overseas teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that with no regulation, is what's going to hurt it.
Now, when you say they added that new law, what law are you referring to?
That if you go to a JUCO, like in high school, when you graduated from high school, if you went to a prep school, it didn't count against your eligibility, NCAA.
Okay.
But if you chose to go to a junior college, like Lewisburg College or in
Mm-hmm.
any junior college,
Yeah.
your NCAA clock would start at that point.
Gotcha.
Now they just changed the rule where that doesn't count against your clock.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're gonna have
Go ahead.
you're gonna have people that are basically you're gonna have a whole lot of thon makers. I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
you remember him,
Yeah, yeah.
but when they undercover, they looked into all the stuff. They found out when he was a freshman, that joker was really in his 20s.
Yeah, and I was about to say, to me, I think that's something that they definitely need to revisit for that point alone. When you think about it, like, to me, in just my opinion, I don't think that it's fair that a 26-year-old gets to play against an 18 or 19-year-old because of you found loopholes to stay in college. Like the University of Miami had somebody that was like 28, 29 years old playing college football last year.
Yeah.
And then he looked it up because I was looking it up on even with the Paige chick from UConn. Do you realize that Paige, she just won a national championship Sunday, but she's literally older than Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And she could have actually played one more year at UConn.
Exactly.
She chose to leave. Like she could have literally did one more year.
So I think that's something that needs to be revisited because I don't think, just like they be pushing all the gender stuff now, trans can't play in sports and you got to play with, identify with what you were born at. It's the same thing when it comes to age. Like, I don't think that it's fair for a 28-year-old to be playing against a 18-year-old, 19 kid. You're supposed to win. You're grown playing against a kid. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think they definitely need to revisit that as a whole. But I seen it in a lot of different groups that I'm in too, like just seeing different posts and whatnot. It was like a lot of debate up on whether Carmelo should even been a first ballot Hall of Famer. What do you think about that, Sam?
I like Melo.
Yeah.
I definitely followed the Knicks. The Detroit, the Pistons, Lions, Tigers, Red Wings, all of them were all my teams. But I did follow like players outside that, like Kobe, Jordan, and Melo was one of those. And I'm not sure if he should be a first time ballot Hall of Famer,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we're going into a time now where like everything's like political, and like it's more about the story, than the actual production. Because I tell people like, shouldn't Robert Horry be in the Hall? He should have been in the Hall of Fame. He had dang on 7 championships. Robert Horry did. Bill, Big Shot Bill. You look at players that like, to me, a Hall of Famer is somebody that actually changes the actual game. Magic Johnson changed the game. Jordan changed the game. LeBron James changed the game. But I don't think Melo. I think it's a balance of, there were times he hit heads with coaching staff and things like that. But I think he's a dynamic player. And I definitely support him, but I'm not sure if he will get selected as a first ballot. I think it's going to take a couple of times, but when it comes to the NBA, it's loaded.
Mhm.
You know, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, it is loaded. Like I got a friend, Torrey Holt. I think he's been on the Hall of Fame for the NFL. Um, Came down to being a finalist like 7 years in a row.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's been this was the 7th year here that just passed for
And
Tory.
literally, he created the one hand wide receiver catch. You know, like the greatest show on turf was basically that Joker. So, you know, but there's other people that I don't think are enshrined as much as he is. But, you know, it's one of those things. I hope he get it next year. But
Mhm.
Melo, I think he will get in the Hall of Fame. I just don't think it's going to be the
Oh,
first
it's
ballot.
already been announced. Melo in.
Oh, is he? Well,
Yeah, he
hey.
already got the call. He's in first
Oh,
ballot.
I thought they was just competing, but hey, kudos to him.
Yeah, he
You
already got
know.
the phone call, and that's why it's been such a big debate. People like, I don't
Oh,
know, and this is where I disagree with you a little bit. Like, I agree that the Hall of Fame should be esteemed and revered, but the reason that I don't agree with your protocol, so to speak, because then it's definitely going to be oversaturated. Because then you got to add like the well, he's already in there, but the Sam Jones, you got to add all those people that played with Bill Russell, because they some of those jokers that we
yeah.
never even heard of got 6-7 championships. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Robert Ory was a great player and a great role player, and he made big shots. But Hall of Fame, no. I don't associate
Yeah.
championships with Hall of Fame status, because I'm gonna
Mm.
take Robert might have 6-7 rings, but I'm gonna take AI every day before I take Robert Ory. I'm gonna take a
Oh
Barkley before
yeah.
I take Robert Ory. I'm gonna take a Reggie Miller before I take a Robert Ory. You know what I mean? As far
Yeah.
as status and what it is. Now the difference is why I agreed. I think it was the right call, and I think Melo is deserving of a first ballot Hall of Fame for one. Well, for several reasons, but one in particular is the NBA. The Naismith Hall of Fame is different than the NFL Hall of Fame because it's
Mm.
collective body of work. You know, we gotta add the fact that Melo only played for Syracuse 1 year and won a championship as a freshman. So it's the whole body of work. He on every
Mhm.
level, he was Melo. And he was a prolific bucket getter. Right now, Melo is 10th on the all-time scoring list. Like, people don't talk,
Mhm.
because people like I said, I'm a Knicks fan, but I fell in love with Melo. I'm like, I would love to talk to Melo about that because most people don't know it. But the first time I ever seen Melo was when they had the All American week in the year that him and LeBron was in that weekend. Melo actually won a dunk contest that year. Like, people
Mhm.
that don't know, that didn't see it, it's like, when you take a dunk contest, you ain't thinking about no Carmelo Anthony. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But he actually won it coming out of high school. And then, like I said, for him to win his single year and the way that Syracuse did it, because I mean, they just dominated. And Melo with his smile, looking like a kid, like, but always been a prolific scorer. But even before he got to the Knicks, his whole career in Denver was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane what he was doing in Denver. His first
Now,
year, the year before he got there, Denver had won 19 games. This first year there, he took them to the playoffs. Now, Melo never won it all, but he was consistently getting to the play. You know what I mean? And that's when,
yeah.
at the time, when the West was loaded. You had the Tim
Yeah.
Duncans, you had the Kevin Garnetts. Like, it was stacked out there in the West. So for this young dude to come in and be the face of a franchise and not buckle under the pressure, I thought he was well deserving of it, especially when, like I said, when you had the college career along with the NBA, because in basketball it's both. It's collegiate, and which I think is stupid. I don't understand why after all these years that they still haven't separated it yet. I don't know what the rationale behind that is, because you should
Mm.
have a college Hall of Fame just like you should have an NBA Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, you definitely right. I mean, I'm not hating on Melo at all. You know, he's the reason why I started following Syracuse. You know, he's the reason why I know about Michael Carter Williams, C.J. Fair, J.J.
Mm-hmm.
Sutherland. You
Yeah.
know, all them jokers when they went 21-0 before they lost their first game. You know, um, he actually, I think that's what made his college career so impactful is because as a freshman, he literally changed the dynamics of Syracuse.
Absolutely.
You know, and that I think that's was, you know, when he was in college, that's what was special about him. As far as you know, the pros. I mean, he was one of those players. He to me, he was like Chris Clemens, you know, at Millbrook.
Yeah.
You got the green light to do, you know, to shoot. Like when Chris Clemens was at Millbrook, he had the green light. When he went to Campbell, he had the green light. When he was in Houston, when he got it, that joker would get in the game
Mhm.
and put up 15, 18, 21
Yeah.
points. And now he's over in France, like just killing it. They're giving him the green light.
Mhm.
So I think Melo was one of them players that, you know, he was on teams that needed to sell tickets.
Mhm.
Denver, a championship wasn't their priority at that point, but they
Yeah.
needed to sell some tickets because they had an empty arena.
Mhm.
But he definitely did that, and I think didn't him and AI play together for 1 or 2 years
Yeah, Denver. Yeah.
in Denver? Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So you know, I wish they could have got together like maybe a year or two earlier.
Earlier, yeah, yeah.
You know, because AI was, you know, he was beat up. You know, that joker was beat down, you know, from his size, and he just attacked the goal like crazy.
Mhm.
But I'm happy to hear that. I thought it was like near the final, like the
Wow.
last round. I didn't know he actually got it. So
Yeah.
you
Because I
that's
was I
good
was I
stuff.
was watching his shows at 7 p.m. in Brooklyn too, and they were kind of talking about it on there. And I was reading different articles. They asked him about it. He did an interview on Sports Center that's kind of going viral. It was asking him different parts of different aspects. What part of his game did he have to feel like he had to add to his game for it to click? And he was just like growth, and it took him like 6, 7 years, whatever he had said. But people was like, you know, he was clickbaiting or whatever they call it now. When people trying to go viral on purpose, I'm like, Melo don't care about none of that. Melo is
Yeah,
not trying to go viral for no interview. You know what I mean? He got his own podcast. Like, he don't need to do all of that. He was, if he was going to do it, he would do it on his own show. But yeah, he got the
definitely.
call, and I want to say Dwight Howard got the phone call too. I think Dwight Howard made it as well.
Now, the white, I'm not really supportive of him getting that final call
Mm-hmm.
because I don't see where he has, to me, he there was a guy, Lenny Cook, back was in high school with Carmelo.
Yeah,
I
Melo
can
and Lenny
I
was
can
ranked higher than Melo and LeBron.
and I remember seeing some documentary where LeBron was like, "Oh, that joker could ball out."
Yeah.
You know, and LeBron back then, he wasn't giving people props. He gave Lenny props, he gave Melo props. Those were the only two players. But I look at Dwight Howard, like to me, he had the potential with his size, his athleticism, with his skill set, he had the potential to probably have 4 or 5 rings minimum. And I just think his attitude, like I remember he talked about when he went to LA and played with Kobe. And he was like, you know, I wasn't feeling that. Kobe would like dog me out and tell me I'm not working hard. And you know, like Kobe is like just like Jordan. There's certain players you're gonna call your teammates out. You don't care
Mhm.
who they are.
Yeah.
And I just think his attitude kind of spoiled him. You know, I think his attitude ended the magic. I think when he went to LA, and so I mean, what did he do? That's game changing. You know, like what did he do that changed the game?
All right. So it's like, and Cam say this a lot on their show. Like, that's, to me, I think that's part of the problem with our society today, because we are oversaturated with information and internet and social media, all these different outlets, that we tend to forget what happened last night. You know what I mean? When I look at the body of work, I was never a fan of Dwight Howard, but his numbers were freaking ridiculous. Like, at one point, Dwight was averaging like 24 and 13 a game for several seasons. I I don't know if I'm not sure if it's 3, but he's also been, I know he got, for a fact, he got 2 defensive players of the year awards. Like, He was a game changer. Then you got to remember him and Jamar Nelson. They went all the way to the finals with Orlando. Like, but Orlando is not a big market team, and you know, it was kind of. But if there's no Dwight Howard, they don't even get to. They don't even make it out the playoffs. So he did his thing. But to your point, and I don't never like to really speak on the character of a man, or so to speak, that nature, because everybody's totally different. But I get it. Like some people you can't. You got to know. It's like being a professional sport, especially when you're the face of that franchise. You have to be like a coach, somewhat, so to speak. You got to be like a psychologist. You got to know how to. It's just like being a parent. You know, you got one child that you could tell, look, boy, you know, man, you can't do that. Don't why you can't run no 440. You can't run no 440. Like, and you know that's what it's going to take, because he want to prove you wrong. Well, your other son, you might be like, you can't have that approach with him, because he's gonna say, well, since you say I can't run a 440, I can't run a 440. Why should I even try? You know what I mean? You got to find a way to motivate different people. And you seen, well, Smush Parker was talking about that, and people's like, oh man, he a sucker. He should have been bringing that up. Kobe dead and going. He shouldn't be talking about it. But Smush said these mothers starting in the backcourt together, and Kobe straight up told him, like, yo, you don't have the right to talk to me.
Yeah.
like, can you imagine? I just know me as Marvin Bennett I don't care who you are or how great you are. You ain't gonna be telling me I can't talk to you, and we teammates and we got to communicate on the floor. Like, I wouldn't want to be in that situation either. But some people like, you know what? Nah, man. If it ain't really that serious. Nah, because I want the same respect I'm gonna give you. I want it in return. So you ain't gonna be treating me like no pool putt. You know what I mean? We work together. I don't work for you. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's totally different. But first ballot, I don't know if he was worthy of a first ballot, but I do believe that he should have got there eventually, because, like I said, I didn't have a pull up because I wasn't planning on talking about Dwight, but I know his numbers says that he should be there.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about right there when you say that, because he was drafted in what, 2004, and I
Somewhere
think
around there.
he last played in LA in 2022. So we roughly talking 18 years, 17 years of that career. And let's look at his position, a post player. Like, how many years Kareem played? 22? 21, 22 years?
Yeah.
So Dwight played 3 years less than Kareem. How close is he on Kareem's blocks, Kareem's scoring, games played? You know, like, that's what I'm looking at. To me, Dwight Howard should have been bigger. Like, there's no way he should have been. To me, at his height, he should have averaged more rebounds than Dennis Rodman. You know, he should have scored. He should have averaged more career-wise, more than 15 points a game. He should have had more than 58% as a post player. You know, because we look at like LeBron passing Kareem in points scored, but yet LeBron shot 2,500 3-pointers. There wasn't no 3-pointer back with Kareem. You know, so I look at those things, but I just don't look at him as he was the first pick in the first round, but I just don't see his numbers being that Shaquille O'Neal.
They don't jump out at you yet.
Because people don't even remember when he played for the Washington Wizards. Like, that's how he disappeared. Like, you literally, there's nights where you're like, oh man, when is Melo playing? When's AI playing? When Jordan? When LeBron playing?
You were never doing that with Dwight. Yeah.
You don't ask that about Dwight. And
you got a point.
That's my thing. All the Hall of Famers that I know, people are asking, when's their next game? When they playing? And that's the reason why I don't, I just for an 18-year career, his numbers, for his height, for his power, his don't get me wrong, that joker, he is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
But he even admitted, like, he could have won, just like Shaq said, if he wasn't so hard headed and stayed in LA, he's like, him and Kobe probably would have won 6 championships just in LA.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
he's
agree with
like,
that.
my head was big. This young buck up there thinking that he's gonna control the team, and this is my team.
And it's not your team.
Yeah, exactly. So
It wasn't your team.
yeah, Dwight is definitely I I guess now I know why his name has been buzzing on my timeline a couple of times.
Yeah,
But
that's why.
but like I said, I'm like, is he overseas still? Is he, like, he don't stand out, and that's all I'm saying. Like, I think Chris Clemens, for example, if that joker just got the opportunity, I think he would do his thing. And you're going to remember, he's going to bring people to the arena. Just like the young lady, Caitlin Clark. Like, I tell people, there's not new WNBA fans. There's new Cameron Brink fans, Angel
Mhm.
Reese fans, Caitlin Clark, like, they're bringing the people. But if they don't play, guess what? If Caitlin Clark ain't playing, Indiana's not moving all their games to where the Pacers play. Or like
Absolutely.
when they're going to DC, they're playing in the
Mhm.
Wizards arena. Like, all
Yeah.
of their games have been moved to the men's venue. To me, that right there, is what is, it literally changes the game,
Mhm.
and I'm not knocking Angel Reese or anything like that, but like, you know, the young lady
Mhm.
was the number one scorer in Division I history.
Yeah.
And then she made it back to the
Out of men and women.
championship.
Don't forget to add that in both men and women.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying, in NCAA period. And the
Yeah.
other thing is, she led her team back to the championship game, even though they lost,
Hmm.
with no center. They literally didn't have no center. Like, she made it farther with less talent
Hmm.
around her. So I just, I look at that like Jordan. I don't credit Jordan for any of them 6 championships. Yeah, he was doing his thing, but I'm not even a Bulls fan like that. But I can tell you, the first championship, uh, Craig Hodges won that one.
Hmm.
In that corner three.
It was a
Then
team effort. Yeah.
What
It take a team.
BJ Armstrong, John Paxson, Steve Kerr, those role players, just like Robert Ory. You mentioned him earlier. Robert Ory came in those big do or die games and hit them threes, you know, and got the name Big Shot Bob. So
Hmm.
to me, those are the dynamics. I think Craig Hodges, what messed him up was when that joker went to the White House, he wore a dashiki and he
Hmm.
told George Bush, you need to look out for my people in Africa. And next thing you know, he never played another game in the league.
Hmm. And like Drew brought up a good point. He said he did a little something for a minute, but like he lost interest in the game, which is one aspect of it too. But also, I'm glad you brought that up with Craig Hodges. I know that had a lot to do with it too, because the league at one point had kind of blackballed Dwight Howard because he had made that post or tweet or whatever about free Palestine. This is when he was, I want to say he was in Dallas or whatever, and we were beefing. This is around the same time. Remember LeBron got in trouble because he spoke about what was going on over there in China, whatever war that was going on over there, but we ain't had nothing to do with. And he had to backtrack.
Mhm.
He had to recant his statement because we were supporting the aggressor, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
As a country, the United States was like, so LeBron had to retract, and it was some fans, and I believe it was Palestine or something, or Yemen, and Dwight Howard took a picture with them. And they was like, listen, we're a big part of, I want to say it was the Dallas Mavericks. Wherever he was playing at, though, it was like a big population of those people that was suffering overseas. So they was like, would you bring light to that? He's like, sure. And he made this post, and the NBA told him to take it down. He like, nah, this is not like this has nothing to do with basketball. Like, this is just my personal thing. I think there's an injustice being done. They was like, no, you know what? Like you say, after that, and you can look it up. But after that, we ain't see no more Dwight Howard. It was like he was just floating around the league, fake offers and what have you. But I think that was constructed by the NBA because he took that stand against, you never go against the brand. You don't go against the NBA. You don't go against the NFL because
Well,
that's like career suicide.
let me put it this way. At any time in Melo's career, did you consider him the face of the NBA? It could have been 1 year, it could have been, but at any time. I did.
Yeah.
AI, I did. Jordan, LeBron,
Yeah.
I did. In his 18 years, when he was in Philly, which nobody remembers, when he was with the Wizards, when nobody remember, when he was in Charlotte, the Atlanta, like all these places, nobody never pictured him as the face of the NBA, yet he was the most, other than Shaquille O'Neal, he was the most dominant player to me, other than Shaquille O'Neal as a number one pick. That was his potential. But he never grasped that because it don't matter what LeBron says. Like LeBron can say some stuff, out the side of his mouth now, but because of what he's done, they're going to give him a pass. You're going to have some crazy people that want to like boycott and say this, but at the end of the day, people still coming to his games.
Yeah.
They still want to see him play.
Absolutely.
Dwight wasn't that player. He says something, his game isn't that explosive enough to where, he should have been leading rebounds every night. It's not like he's a top of the key or a wing. He's a post player. So that's why I'm just, man, you just knocked me out my chair with Dwight being a finalist. I'm like,
yeah. So here it is. Here, this is the 2025 Basketball Hall of Fame class. Includes NBA stars Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, WNBA legend Sue Bird, Maya Moore, Sylvia Fowles, the 2008 U.S. Men's Olympic team, Coach Billy Donovan, referee Danny Crawford, and manager Mickey Harrison. Those are that is the class right there. And like I said, I'm not making an argument for Dwight to be in there. I'm not making an argument for him not to be in there. I think that he would have got there eventually because that's another thing too. Like this is my parameter, and every point that you made is valid. Like he's never been but me personally, and I've always been a Melo fan from day one. I'm talking about since the McDonald's All-American game. I've always been a Melo fan. I don't never at a particular time consider Melo the face of the league. Like there's only like one face of the league to me. Now you can have some faces of the league where you can make that argument, but everybody that's great is not the face of the league. Like Kevin Garnett wasn't the face of the league to me. Like he might have been the face of power forwards at a particular time or whatever the case may be, but the whole overall league, no. Like there's a lot of players that don't get that criteria, but also I always like to use for me personally, Roy Jones Jr., right? And when I say that is when you got to play the hand that you dealt. Like it's not Roy Jones' fault that it wasn't no Sugar Rays when he was boxing, Marvin Hagler, the Roberto Durans. Like he only could fight who was available during his time. But people quick to say, Roy ain't really fight nobody. But he only could fight who's out there in his era. Yeah. Like I think Dwight Howard, when you look at his body at work, he did what he had to do in his particular era. Now, without comparing him to Shaq, no, they like two different eras to me. And I don't compare no center. Me personally, I don't compare no center to the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because, like you say, LeBron just broke his record, but Cap, he's on a whole different stratosphere. Like I always say, the greatest my GOAT all time, me personally, it always start with Bill Russell. And I always bring that up because to me, the fact that I don't care about the era that he played in, I don't care that it was black and white. This man won 11 championships in 13 years, and 2 of them as a player coach. That's never going to be done again. So that's where the conversation start with me. But then if it's not Bill, I still don't go to MJ. Then after Bill Russell, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because Kareem won on every single level. I don't think Kareem lost a college game. That's crazy when you think about
it.
Yeah. Kareem is the standard. Like,
yeah,
it's hard. It's gonna be hard to top Kareem. You know what I mean? And then like the longevity that Kareem played in for so many. You gotta remember, before the Lakers, he won a championship with Oscar Robertson in Milwaukee. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't think that I wouldn't even compare Shaq to Kareem. You know what I mean? I don't think like you say, when I think of Shaq, I think of Shaq might be the most dominant player that I've ever seen, but I can't say that Shaq is the most dominant player ever because I've never seen Wilt. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about
I can't hold Wilt. I tell people all the time, like, I do look at like eras, and when I look at when I hear people like compare LeBron to Jordan and people to Iceman Gervin and all these things, I'm like, check this out. I'm like, how many of the players today? Let's go back one era. Kobe Bryant played in both eras. The era of hand checking. The era of that. I think that's what made Kobe Bryant so dynamic because he started out in that era. So once the rules got lightened because David Stern wanted more scoring, because remember back in the days, the only teams that used to score over 100 points was out in the West.
It was good,
yeah, them cats was like running and gunning out there in the West. The Eastern Conference, a game in is 47-54, but you got jokers like Charles Barkley, Bill Laimbeer with black eyes. Like, like them jokers was like scrapping. But now I say you go back to Wilt Chamberlain's time, Kareem's time, George Gervin's time, where they had to deal with the racism. I can guarantee you that when they was posted, you had some of them dudes punching them in the ribs.
Yeah.
Like to me, it was even rougher. I would imagine, I wasn't back then, but I can imagine it was even harder. Like
no, but without a doubt, you talking about like we talking about like the Hank Aaron. Hold up, real quick. Miguel said, even though I agree with you, both the youth today can't compare what they did not see. Exactly. And to that point, Miguel, I think that's why they shouldn't be speaking on it. That's why I said what I said when I was comparing Melo and LeBron. If you was born after 1975, I don't really care about who you thought was better, Melo or Bernard King, because you don't know. I'm not talking about what you go on YouTube and watch some highlights. Everybody can make themselves look piece together. I'm talking about careers. But to your point, hold up, Drew said to me, no one can be the GOAT. We had great ones at different times. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that is a ridiculous.
I agree with that.
I think it's a ridiculous argument when you talk about that, because the point that you was making, though, Sam, it ain't even a thought about it. It was definitely harder back then. One, you got to realize racism, but you look at somebody like Hank Aaron in baseball. This dude is getting death threats. There was times where they talk about it was times where Bill Russell had to sleep on the bus. You know what I mean? If Red Auerbach wasn't there to say, nah, look, all my players going to come in here. I don't care whether y'all don't allow blacks or not. Then the whole team bouncing. You know what I mean? Or
kids today can't deal with that.
They don't understand that.
They too protected. They're not held accountable. They just, the mentality they just solve. They don't want their feelings hurt. And that's what I meant by when I talk about Wilt, when I talk about George Gervin, I talk about all those people that they didn't just have to deal with the game. Exactly. They went through the civil rights, from 1954 to 1964. They had to deal with getting spit on when they leave the court, all this stuff. These kids today, these athletes today, I'm not even going to say kids because they're grown men. They cannot deal. They break down over a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
They get, why y'all picking on me? And LeBron attacking people because they talking about how his son playing ball after LeBron told everybody that his son was better than 50% of the league.
Like, but
But he mad because people, like this new age, they too pampered. They
mm-hmm.
too many prima donnas, and I don't think they could even touch. I wish they could have one game where they are able to hand check, just so they can see how physical Joe Dumars was and all those cats.
Absolutely, Vinny Johnson. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, the
Chet
microwave, right?
Tucker. Yeah, man. Listen, I missed the era. And this is the other thing, and we're gonna get to that. McGill said that the argument is to drive entertainment created by ESPN. I would like for you guys to speak on the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron conversation, and we'll get to that. Drew said they too sensitive. LeBron is mad because it was personal. Yeah, so we're gonna get to that. But anybody that knows anything about LeBron, if you've been watching LeBron long enough, we already know that I call him King Cat. You can't believe nothing that come out of LeBron's mouth. Because even with the interview that he did with Pat McAfee, it was like, I really hate and I can't stand when people compare errors. But then he follows that up with the very next sentence is, if Giannis was to play back in there, he would score 270. You just finished saying that you don't like to make that, you hate when people make that comparison. Then you follow up by doing the same thing that you say that you hate. That's the perfect example of who LeBron is. LeBron he's a prima donna. You know what I mean? Every time you look, he spent half the game. If the game is 48 minutes, he spent 15 minutes on the floor with fake injury. He is such a drama queen to me.
Yeah.
And I can't stand it. But like you say, it to me is not even an argument. And I don't really like to do the different eras too, because then when we talk like we talking, we hating on the young kids. And it's like, no, you guys are just different. Except the fact that you guys are different. One of the arguments that I always make when it comes to that there too, and I say reason why you can't compare is because I come from an era. My man Drew, that's in the comments. I seen Julian ball. I know that Julian was a dog. I seen Julian in high school play. I seen him play in the playground. I done seen him play at Boylan. All these different spots. I know that he could play, and we done seen great players that the world would never. My boy Mush. You know what I mean? Like, we had some great, it's Jersey, baby. Hello. We have basketball players that the world will never see. You know what I'm saying? We breed them. But one of the differences is we played back then, even when I played quarterback in high school and when I played safety and all that did. I was playing to be the best. I didn't care. It's not that I would like losing. I didn't care about wins and losses, though. I wanted people to not be able to sleep when they seen number 10 line up across the field from them. You know what I'm saying? Period. I wanted to be great. These dudes, these days, I always try to tell people, why do you care about being the greatest that ever played? I was bringing that point up because that was most of our mentality back then. You know what I mean? We wanted to be the greatest ever. We wanted our names to live on forever in the hood. Oh, man, that was a cold boy right there, man. In 1985, I remember he came down and, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. We lived for that. You know what I'm saying? For people to be talking about you 30, 40 years down the league, even if it wasn't on the NBA level, that mattered to us. But these days, you got a cat that's sitting on the bench that's making $9 million a year. So why would he care about being the greatest? You know what I mean? Yeah. I already got the bag. I done made more money than my family has ever seen in their whole lifetime. And I don't even have to take a shower after the game because I didn't even get in the game. So why would I care about being great? It's a different mentality. So the mentality aspect, not to mention the rule changes and all that did, it's not fair to compare different people in different eras. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That Boo was the best that I have ever seen. Yeah, we had this dude literally. Dude, I'm talking about, man, Sam, you should have seen him. He was cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. Then you had Calvin, who played down Calvin Hill down at Cleo, not Calvin, Cleo. Cleo Hill was another one. My man Lance Jackson. You know, like, man, the list goes on and on. We had so many. Rest in peace, my man Snatch that just passed away last year. Like, we had some ballers out there that was like getting it. They was They was on their way. But back to McGill point. I'll let you go first, Sam. What was your take on the whole LeBron Stephen A situation?
Me, I just think personally, Stephen A is supposed to analyze the game. He's supposed to analyze players. Um, LeBron went on that talk show, McAfee show, and was talking about, oh, he was talking about my son. He never said nothing. From my understanding, from all the commentation I've seen, he never said nothing about his son personally, other than how much he respected his son, how good of a person, his character, his work ethic, all that. But I think Stephen A was perfectly right, because let's look at LeBron James' son, what LeBron has to defend. Your son is the first non-lottery pick to get a guaranteed contract. He's the first NBA player in history to get a guaranteed contract, not a lottery pick. That's the first thing. And I think Stephen A, when he was saying, you know, everybody, LeBron put that target on his son back. When you make that statement, my son better than half the league, like right now, when he only averaged 2.5 points in high school at USC, come on now. And I don't even think he averages a point. I think it's like 0.8, you know, a game.
Yeah.
You know, his turnover.
You get 2 points for a basket.
You know, his turnover average is more than all his other stats. Now, I'm not saying that that's his fault. I think what LeBron was doing is setting him up, because you have Barkley. Stephen A is not the only one. You have a whole lot of NBA players that are now out the league. Gilbert Arenas, people like that can ball out, and they're basically saying, look, put your son in the G League and let him get his confidence, let him thrive, let him rock in the G League. He got a guaranteed contract. He's not losing money. But then when he's playing with the G League, and when the Lakers have home games, he's like the G League on a bus, but he on a plane. You know, like he's getting all this preferential treatment. So all his teammates are even looking at that side eye. It's not just Stephen A. Smith. I think Stephen A. was basically saying what everybody else is saying. You know, but a lot of people don't want to say it in LeBron's face. And I'm like, you know, so I think LeBron, he's just overly sensitive. He tries to be aware. He tries to control, just like he wasn't playing in the All-Star game. But because he didn't want to break his streak of being in the All-Star game, he told them like 30 minutes prior that he wasn't playing in the All-Star game because he had an injury. But then the next, you know, 2 nights later, he balls out and scores 40 points. You know, so that's how I look at like the situation. LeBron just need to man up. And when you put somebody out there, you know, stand behind on what you said, you know, and that's how I look at it.
All right. So for me, hold on. Drew said, to me, LeBron James has done more damage to him. First,
Fact.
you help him to get there, and he not performing. He has put too much pressure on the young man. He should have let his son go through some more process. I agree with that too, Drew. But in this situation here, LeBron versus Stephen A. Okay, let me preface this by saying this to everybody that don't know me like on a personal level, because I talk sports all the time with my inner circle. All right, one, I am not a LeBron James fan. Okay, let's be clear on that. But I absolutely can't stand Stephen A. I don't watch First Take. I don't watch nothing that involves Stephen A. Because Stephen A. He's like a sports version of Wendy Williams to me. He created this persona, and he got his fame at Winston-Salem State talking trash about big game James. Like, he been messy since day one. This is before the world even knew him. You know what I mean? We're gonna start there. So I never like that, especially when you talking about when you talk about legendary people and you trying to do a report to put them on blast to get your name out there as a journalist and all. I'm not a fan of how you do it. You know what I mean? Now you got the right to do whatever you want to do, but I'm not a fan of it. With this situation here, so let me give you a little bit of context, Sam, because from the different things that I did see pertaining to this in particular, what Stephen A. said, what triggered LeBron was Stephen A. said, "Yo, all right, let me be clear too, because I preface that I don't like Stephen A. But in this situation here, Stephen A. didn't talk about Bronny. What he said was, look, like LeBron, stop this. Pretty much the same thing that you and Drew was saying. Like, you put your son in this position. You know what I mean? Like, you could easily, the same way you created this position, you put your son in this position, you could get your son out of this position. To your point, you could send him down to the G League. He's not going to lose no money. As a father, you need to stop this. Now, is LeBron sensitive? Absolutely. But this one here, right, for this particular case, and this particular case alone, exclusively, I'm 1,000% with LeBron James. And here's why. Because now it's not about basketball. Now you're questioning my fatherhood. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. And I do believe that that's the way that LeBron took it. For you to tell me as a father, ain't nobody say nothing about Jerry Jones when he handed the Cowboys over to his son. Don't nobody know whether he got a college degree or not. You know what I'm saying? So don't question my fatherhood or the decisions that I make as a father. With all the accolades that Sam had when he graduated Millbrook, if somebody come to you and tell you, hey, listen, man, I know he could go to Georgia, he could go to Ole Miss or Notre Dame or one of these here, but what you need to do is reclass. And you say, I'm whatever you do it, decide as a father. For somebody to tell you that your decision as a father is wrong, to me, that's crossing the line. Even if I don't agree with it, I'm not going to question another man's fatherhood position. And LeBron said it. He said it during the Pat McAfee because it took me a while. I got through it though. But he said it. He said, I don't have any issue when people talk about him playing basketball because that's part of it. You know what I mean? If he play like garbage, that you're doing your job. He don't take that part personal. But when you question me as a father, I got a problem with it. So I was with LeBron James too because you know what? And that's the other thing I didn't like about the whole thing on the backdrop. I think one personally, I think they both carried it out way too long. You know what I mean? Because the more and more y'all dragging it out, and more look more staged. Because it just so happened that this is during the time when Stephen A. he just signed $100 million contract. You know what I'm saying? So your name already in the news, but now you going on a award show like LeBron say, you're doing a Taylor Swift tour, going on all the different talk shows talking about it. You know, I would if LeBron had a swung on me, I would have swung on him. I would have lost the fight, but you wasn't gonna swing on no LeBron. Stephen A., you ain't about that life. You was not going. I call Cap all the way.
Look, I wouldn't have swung on him either. I would have bowled my chest, and if he put a finger on me, I'd be calling the attorney and hit me. I want you to hit me.
Exactly. So I think that was more or less what LeBron had an issue with, not with him critiquing Bronny's game, because that's everybody knows that. Even LeBron knows that. But as a father, guess what? I don't raise you in this. You don't grew up in the household with me. So if anybody's gonna get you ready to deal with the scrutiny of playing bad and all that there, I'm gonna do that. But son, guess what? You're a millionaire. And guess what? Everybody that's talking trash, if they had a chance as a father to put their child in the same position, would you not? You know what I mean? Because it don't matter. It doesn't matter what they say. Well, how they can talk trash about you. Oh man, you the worst thing. You couldn't even play in the WNBA. Guess what? You're going home to the gated community, sleep on $3,000. So what? So what? Let them say what they're gonna say, because that's what people gonna do. No, you can't satisfy nobody. If Bronny had been averaging, if he had came in this league averaging 22 points and 7 assists a game, then you know what they're gonna say? Well, he still ain't LeBron James. Like, you can't win for losing. So why would you even care about that then?
Well,
What's worry about you?
This
now,
is one thing.
Having said all of that, I do agree that he should be in the G League or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, I'm a fan of, especially as a black man, for LeBron to be able to put himself in position to be able to even do this for his son. Like, that's I can't be mad at that.
Yeah. I don't
think, why does he have to defend it? I think he is right. Have you seen what is coming off the bench off some of these teams? Check out Boston bench. Stephen A. never played professional basketball. Secondarily, LeBron is not the coach. The Lakers make the decision. Yeah, JJ Redick. You know what I mean?
No, we can't say that necessarily, because AD just admitted that, and it just came out that LeBron was involved in AD getting traded to Dallas for Luka.
Yeah,
like,
I believe that. I believe
the Lakers. LeBron James is literally like how Magic Johnson was with Jimmy Buzz or Jerry Buzz. The Lakers don't make a move without talking to LeBron, their franchise player.
No way possible. I don't care what they say in the media.
And that's the thing right there. But let me tell you about Bronny. This is what I commend LeBron doing that, any decent father is going to do. He put the best trainers around him. Like, he had him working with, just like with Dion, his oldest son, not oldest, but Shador, working out with Tom Brady, the GOAT of football.
Baby.
So to me, with all that training, to me with all that training, Bronny, even not in the G League, he should be at least 10, 8, and 5. And I'm talking about 10 points scoring, 8, assists, and probably 5 turnovers because he's young. But JJ is not JJ Redick. So when we say, okay, LeBron's not the coach, yeah, LeBron the dang on coach. LeBron got JJ Redick
title.
LeBron got JJ Redick that coaching position. No matter how anybody put it, him and JJ Redick are boys. And he got him that dang on position. I think JJ Redick, to me, like, when you got an all-star roster or the potential of the Lakers, a lot of people would have the same record that they got right now. I think they third in the West right now.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that LeBron, people act like, oh, he's just a player. LeBron has saying every single thing that goes on in that Lakers organization.
And not just in the Lakers organization, wherever he is. Like, he has that, and I'm glad you said that, because I said that earlier. The reason why I put Bill Russell like I do, because he's a player coach, and nobody else is never going to get a chance to do that, for the simple fact of semantics. LeBron is a player coach. It's just that they, even with Tyronn Lue did, you know what I'm saying? LeBron was making all those calls. You know what I mean? But technically, they will never give him the position of a player coach. We just not in that era. They're not going to ever do that again. So yeah, those days are over with. But Bronny, he and it always, and we've been talking about this way too long. But Bronny, it brings me back to when he first got drafted. Like, that's the other factor. And I don't know anything. I've never talked to him. I don't know. But we already talked about how soft this generation is. The mindset is totally different. I don't know that the Bronny even want to be in the NBA. He might not really care about playing basketball, but he playing the hand that he dealt. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I see him out there, even when he does what he does, I don't see a love for the game in him like I do with Bryce, the younger brother. Now, Bryce loves the game. Bryce wants to play basketball. I don't never see no excitement from Bronny like that. You know what I mean? So I don't really know if he's passionate about the game. I remember my youngest son, and I give him a hard time about it all the time. He was in love with some Ben Simmons. And I was like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. Now look at Ben Simmons after, and this is back at the LSU days. This is back at LSU. I never liked Ben Simmons. I thought he was overhyped. Like, you can't get this dude all this credit or based off of potential. I'm not big on rewarding players for potential. I give you. I'm gonna hold my judgment till after I see you. And now look at Ben Simmons, claiming mental health or whatever the case may be. Dude, you don't care about the game of basketball, so just you done got your money. Just go do what you're going to do. go become a model or whatever the case may be. But stop wasting people's time and money out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop robbing the fans of the game, that people that actually care. You rather see somebody out there that's a scrub playing hard than, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You out here, Balenciaga Ben, as Mace called him.
But see, that's the thing. Like right now with this generation, it's the mental health. That's the excuse. Like they can give up. And I think the perfect example is Raven Johnson from South Carolina. When Caitlin Clark embarrassed her a couple years ago, waved her off, you know, for her to shoot the three and she didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like everybody was like, oh, why is she doing that? The thing is, she got in her head. But what did Coach Staley do? She said that girl got in the dang on gym, shot few thousand threes every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And when she came back, she was leading the team in threes, in three percentage shot attempts, all that stuff. So the thing is like sometimes we need to push this generation, not try to, you know, protect them, and so they need to experience these things so they learn how to deal with it. And that's why I respect Staley, because she actually she does that to her players. You know, she'll fuss them out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I just think like LeBron need to let him be a man and let him fight his own battles and focus on his son, because my main thing when Bronny got drafted, everybody and their mama knew he was going to the Lakers.
You know it.
Like it was literally like that. And then
he even controlled that situation. I'm not signing no contract because whoever want me, you're gonna have to draft my son too.
That's what I'm saying.
You're gonna have to draft my son. Like, who gets to do that? I can't get mad because I don't. Do I agree with it? No, but I love it for once that a black man is calling the shots. I love it. I can't even front. Like I said, wasn't nobody tripping when Jerry Jones handed over the keys to his son. We don't know that he should have ran the team. Wasn't nobody talking about. Wasn't nobody hating on Jenny Buss other than the brother, because he didn't get the team. You know what I'm saying? So we don't criticize them for making those same decisions, but because of LeBron and he's a player, it's different. Miguel said, "I'm still happy for Bronny. I wish I could do it for my kids." Absolutely, because I know it again. Yeah. Because like I said, as a father, and I said it earlier, it's like I don't know that Bronny even want to be out there. But at this point, as your father, I don't really care if you want to be out there or not. You're gonna put this uniform on. We making history, bro. Every day of our lives is another historic moment. We're the first father-son duo to play on the same team actively ever.
Oh, he's going to be the first father in two sons.
Exactly, because
that's what he just milking the clock. He milking the clock for when Bryce comes. I'm gonna tell you now, everything that people expect Bronny to do, Bryce is gonna blow that out the water.
And see, all right. So this is why I'm gonna go on record now, right? Because I do believe the same thing. I believe that LeBron is waiting for Bryce to get there. God forbid they all three on the same team. Disney, Miramax, Fox Century, all of them. The movies is already being written. let's be clear. The biopic is already being made. But I do believe that once Bryce get there, I believe that that's going to take pressure off of Bronny, and Bronny can say, you know what, I'm about to go play my video games because Daddy done got what he wanted. I ain't got to put up with this no more. Bryce the one that want to be here, and is going. I think he's just going to fade off and get involved with the business side of things or running one of the LeBron companies or what have you. But I don't. Me personally, I just don't see that Bronny loves the game of basketball or really wants to be out there on his own. Even when he does the interviews or what have you, you know what I mean? Like the other night, I seen a little clip. I was waiting for one of the games to come on or something, and I was flipping through the channels, and it was down to like the last 15 seconds. The Lakers was playing in OKC, and he's bringing the ball down, and the OKC fans are going crazy, hoping that Bronny scores a basket. Like, I've never seen that before. And when he actually hit, he came down, he pulled the three and made it. They went crazy, like they had just won the game. They actually lost that game, but they were so happy for Bronny. It's like even the fans they root for Bronny. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's become his own story. So, yeah. My bad. I got the game on in the background. They just gave Melo a standing ovation. Okay. Yeah. But what else was it? Oh, before we get out of here, man, I wanted to talk about the thing that you were talking about with the terrorists. We'll get to that next week or another time because I did want to talk about that poster that I made with Chris Tucker. Chris Rock and Nia Long and all that there. But we can talk about that another time. But yeah, talk a little bit about what you was talking about last night as far as and prayers out to the Metcalf family. I don't want to talk about that tonight because, like you said, the stories will be still being developed with Metcalf. But shout out to they, prayers to that family. With the Carmelo Anthony with the K, not the basketball player, young man that stabbed the kid out there. So I'm just waiting for more development of that story before we actually discuss that on the show because I was literally watching something on Court TV a little while ago, and they were talking about all the misinformation that's being put out there. So
yeah, they did their family rep did a press conference earlier today.
Yeah. So I'm like, we'll wait till we get more facts on all the details on that before we really get into that. So for those that's out there viewing, don't think that I'm trying to avoid that topic. I just want more information because I don't want to be just giving my thoughts and my thoughts don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Without the facts. So when we get that, we'll get that more. But talk a little bit more about Doge and particularly how, a lot of people are in uproar about the whole Doge situation, what Elon Musk is doing. And I'm not saying that I agree with it, none of that there, or I support it, nothing like that. But talk about how everybody's having a hard time with that, and everybody is so against it. But as you were saying last night, and I meant to look it up today because I don't know, I'm just taking your word at it. I know you do your homework when it comes to these different things. But Doge is nothing new. This was implemented by Barack Obama's administration.
Doge is Obama's baby. That's his baby.
Talk a little bit about that. Educate the people on that for me.
So basically what happened is when Obama was running for his second term, he lost a lot of the white women during his first term. He lost that support because one of the promises he made that he was going to codify Roe versus Wade, abortion rights, because he had 59 Democratic Senate votes. He had the 2 independent votes. So that adds up to 61. So it couldn't be filibustered. Then he had the House. So when those women kept pressuring him, why are you avoiding us? When are you going to sign the Freedom of Choice Act? You said you was going to sign it on day one. About 30 days later, he was there at a press conference and they cornered him. And he was like, that's not my priority. So because he lost a lot of that support, Mitt Romney was running against him. And basically, Obama had to find something else to run on. Because when you have the filibuster-free Senate, the House, and you're the White House, anything that you put through, Like he could have put a lot more through than the Affordable Care Act and all the LGBTQIA rights. He could have put anything he wanted, he could have had passed. So what happened was he looked to Bill Clinton's playbook. Bill Clinton basically fired 400,000 federal employees. He started doing the budget. Everything that's being done now, Bill Clinton did that. And a lot of people don't know this. In the last 30 years, Bill Clinton is the only president to have a balanced budget. And that was because he fired 400,000 federal employees and he cut a lot of grants.
400,000?
400,000.
Wow.
And there was no uproar. And the thing is, he didn't even offer him severance. Them jokers got a pink slip, but he got reelected. Even though he had that scandal in the Oval Office and stuff, he got reelected because he went down as the last president to balance the budget. So Obama looked at that, and remember, Obama had the House, the Senate, and the White House. So what he did was he passed what's called the USDS, and that's the United States Digital Service. And what that was supposed to do is basically streamline the government, cut federal jobs. Obama fired about 300,000 federal employees. He was doing the same thing that Bill Clinton did. He was cutting a lot of grants. He was cutting all those things. Well, Trump gets in office and, he's had 4 years and, 4 years dwelling on what he's going to do. That's why when that joker got in office, that joker hit the ground running backwards, forward, sideways, because he had been doing all this stuff. So he signed the Doge executive order. And people are like, well, you need to, when he first did that, people were like, well, you need to act of Congress. How are you going to finance? How are you going to pay for the resources to do it? Have you noticed that nobody says that anymore? Because what they found out when they read his actual executive order in Section 3, it states that all he did was rename the USDS to Doge. He renamed the organization. So they still had all the financing, all the funding because a lot of people think Elon Musk just came in, was bringing people in there. There was actually USDS employees, federal employees in every organization, but they weren't doing nothing because they was just sitting there collecting the check. So Elon Musk put a fire under them people when they did it. And the ones who didn't want to do nothing, they fired them. And then the Secretary of Treasury hired his people for Doge. And, but those positions were already there. And that's what people don't understand. But everything that's being done now was done by Bill Clinton, was done by Barack Obama. So where was the energy back then? I don't want to pay taxes. Like who is happy about paying a tax that you have to pay to work? A federal income tax. Like
where
you have
are
to
they
pay
with that now?
Yeah, and then and his commerce secretary, a lot of people don't listen to the new administration, the commerce secretary. He's given the whole playbook. He's like, nobody over 150K paying income tax. I mean, under 150K paying income tax. No tax on the tips, overtime, Social Security. Like, and then he's like, want to go away with the capital gains tax. And people are like, oh, he's just taking care of the rich people. Well, check this out. If I buy my house for $200,000, right? And then 15 years from now is worth $500,000. And I put it, we put it in our son's name. Well, guess what? As soon as we put it in his name, he's going to have to pay the taxes and that 25% capital gains tax. And because he may not be liquid to where he can pay that, guess what the government is going to do? They're going to take it.
They're going to take the house, yeah.
So it's helping. It's not that it's not helping lower income people. We just need to continue educating our community on the resources and creating a trust to bypass probate and capital gains taxes. We need to start looking at investing in more like economics, and we just don't do that. But I don't have anything wrong, because I'm definitely one of those guys that get salty when I see people that their ancestors didn't help build this country, and they're up there getting more benefits than people who their ancestors had.
Mhm.
Like, who wouldn't be mad?
Yeah.
But I just think, and like with the tariff situation, they're talking about reciprocal tariffs. If you go on YouTube anywhere and you go back to Bill Clinton, when Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer was trying to help Bill Clinton do that stuff, they was talking about how come the US don't charge reciprocal tariffs. Reciprocal is just saying we're going to charge you what you charge us. That's it. Eye for eye, tooth for a tooth.
Mhm.
But people all up in arms like why he's doing that. But the thing is like, what's wrong with, you know, me getting $10 and I give you five and you keep five? So I think that's the main thing that people need to like just look and actually listen. Don't look at people like if you invite them to the cookout or not. Just try to like understand like what the end goal is. Because at the end of the day, all politicians lie, but I'm listening to everything all of them are saying to see what's doable and what's not doable.
Mhm.
And right now, I see a whole lot of stuff like with the stock market going down and things like that. A lot of people don't know that the federal deficit is time for it to be refinanced. Now, this is the thing, like let's say that this administration is trying to taint the economy. And we have a lot of people out there, we're complaining, oh, look at the economy, the stock market is going down. Well, the thing is like when we talk about the stock market, only 10% of 10% of the people in America own 95% of the stocks. So what happens when the economy gets down, the dollar gets down, the money leaves those equities and it moves into the treasuries. So then the interest on the treasuries, it drops. So basically the $9 trillion of the treasury debt is refinanced at 2% instead of 7%. So basically, it saves us in paying taxes $4.5 trillion. So that's why I told somebody the other night, I'm like, wait till May. I said, right now is the time where everybody needs to be buying up this stock, all this stuff that's dropping down, because it's going back up. Soon as the treasury debt is refinanced, it's shooting back up. And all these wealthy people, Warren Buffett, who pulled out $400 million of his stocks, he's sitting on the cash right now. He's waiting for May to get here, and he's going to go in and buy $400 or $500 million in stocks again. So I think that's what the end game is for these tariffs. Like we get charged for all these other countries, and like if you go to China, you go to South Korea, you don't see Chrysler, Ford, Dodge, or anything in those countries because they don't allow our
Mhm.
products to be sold there, our automobiles to be sold there. But if we want to sell our automobile there in other places, they charge us like 100% tariffs or 50% tariffs. So why be against like reciprocal, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth? And I think at the end of the day, anything that's going to reduce tax debt, which is what we pay out of our pockets, I'm all fine with it. So I'm just standing by watching the show and waiting for this market predict the short so I can capitalize on it.
What now? Where are they with the whole not paying taxes at? Where that's at? I know he was talking about that when he got elected. Like we won't be paying taxes no more, or they won't tax overtime on jobs and all that. Where are we at with that now?
They just approved it through the Senate yesterday
Okay.
or the day before. So that's going to be approved well, it has to go down to the House and they vote for it. The
Mhm.
House votes are a simple majority, so it's going right back to the Senate. So
Okay.
basically, they're going to present a bill that basically says no tax on overtime, tips, and this is tips for barbers, for service, for
Mhm.
everybody. And then also they added the language in there that if somebody buys an automobile that's made in America, that just like how when you buy a house, you can write off the interest that you paid in the monthly payment, you'll be able to do that same thing with a car.
Okay.
Because, but listen to his name is the secretary's name is Lutnick, the commerce secretary. He's the one, if you YouTube him, he's basically giving a whole rundown on all this stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh, who is this dude? He was the guy that lost his entire company in 9/11. His building was right next to the World Trade Center. So when it collapsed, he lost like 67 employees and he was running late. That's why he wasn't in the building. But his entire employees passed away. So what he did was for every family out of his own pocket, he gave every family $10 million, and he put a college fund for all the dependents from all those families.
Mm.
So like if some people try to talk junk about Lutnick, like look what this joker did. Like the janitor's family got $10 million. Everybody that worked in his building got that 10 million. I think they say he paid out like almost $1 billion,
Okay.
to make sure that they had the college and all that, and he did it for everybody. So
And you said his
he's the
name
one
what?
who
Ludnick?
Lutnick. Yeah.
Okay.
But look, he's given the entire game plan. Like he just unloaded about no income tax for people under 150K. Like he's given the whole game plan. It's just people don't want to listen because
Mhm.
no matter what, they just want to hate and fight it. But I'm like, if it's gonna fight, if it's gonna allow our people who aren't used to buying stocks, but it's like a fire, it's gonna be a fire sale next month. I'm telling you. Because in May, everything I'm telling you, interest rates, people gonna the market, all that stuff, everything, the interest is gonna go down.
Mhm.
It's playing chess, not checkers. But they're given the next move on the chessboard. It's just nobody want to listen to Lutnick, and then listen also to the Treasury Secretary. He's saying, Scott Bessick. He's basically saying the same thing because what's happening to the stock market now is how he became a billionaire. He grew up poor, immigrant, and all that. Now he a dang on billionaire because what's being done now is how he became a billionaire.
Mhm.
He waited, he just worked, and he started buying it up, buying it up, buying it up. He's given the game plan. So look at Scott Bessick also when he talks, because them reporters come at him and they ask him the hard questions. Like, how's this gonna happen? You're saying you're gonna do it, but how is it gonna be paid for? They're giving the whole game plan on how it's going to be paid for, how taxes aren't going to be raised but go down. Like people just need to listen. Like instead of hating, learn how these people are moving, so we
Mhm.
learn how to move that way too.
Mhm. Miguel said that is how all the people will get paid. Yeah. I'm gonna
And, and
definitely
at the
look into them.
and at the end of the day, rich folks, ultra wealthy, they're gonna make their money no matter what.
Mhm.
But when there's things that will allow us to close that generational wealth gap, because in 1972, black folks, we were dead last. In 2025, the last stat was done in 2023. Guess where we was at? Dead last. Hispanic people were next to last in 72. Now they're like second, third from the top, third or fourth from the top. So that's the thing. Like, they did a job announcement. The finance gurus economic people say there's only going to be like 150,000 new jobs. They
Mhm.
just released the numbers, almost 300,000. But the thing about those jobs, they're not federal jobs.
Mhm.
So the more federal jobs, the higher taxes go. These are private jobs. Now all the car companies is coming back, reopening their plants. So to me, like more people going to be able to get to work, like making, you work for a car company in the factory, you make good money. It ain't like working at McDonald's, flipping fries. You making, 30, $50 an hour, and you got union. So
Mhm.
I just think, people need to start like looking so they're prepared. So when May hits, everybody's able to get that bag.
Mhm. Any ladies still out there? So I wanted. I guess we can say that for next week too. I wanted to talk about that Anthony Edwards situation, but I want some ladies out there too. I don't want it to be a male dominated conversation because I think that it's definitely a case of double standards that I don't think is fair. So I wanted to hear some ladies' perspective on it. But we could get into that another time, man. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on and like I said, just educating us on that. I'm gonna definitely check out your boy London because I don't know anything about his story and everything or his background, so to speak. I don't
Yeah,
follow what
Lutnick and
no.
and Bessick, Scott
Okay.
Bessick, the Treasury. They're the ones who's given all the game plan for all the taxes and all that. Those two.
All right. All right, Miguel. Yeah, we out of here too, man. Thanks for stopping through, bro. But yeah, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week. Same time. And everybody stay safe. Again, congratulations to the UConn women on their national championship as well as the University of Florida. Thanks for now we gotta get what we gotta get ready for. What is it this week? The US Open. We back to golf this now. We getting
Yeah.
that time of year. Cause I'm not really into baseball. I'm not a big baseball guy, but
Oh, you hear about Raleigh, the baseball team here, right?
nah.
Yeah, Raleigh's most likely getting a they
Triple A.
they were they were in the runnings for the MLB expansion team,
Mm-hmm.
but now the Tampa Bay, the Tampa Rays,
Mm-hmm.
their property deal just fell through. So the Tampa Bay Rays may be coming and become the Raleigh Rays or the
So
Carolina
actual
Rays.
a major league team, not like a triple A,
No,
not like that.
Major League,
Okay. Okay.
because
Yeah, I definitely heard about that.
yeah, Raleigh was trying to get it for the expansion team, but now Tampa Bay, so they're the governor, Cooper has sent out a proposition for him, and I believe Stein will do it, but
Okay.
it's going to be on the other side of downtown off South Saunders, because they were planning on building a $1.9 billion soccer stadium arena, complex, but then they scratched that when they was trying to, you know, try to rally people to get the MLB team. But now that Tampa's here, they already done bought all that land all on South Saunders.
Mm-hmm.
So they just waiting. So they have the arena. I mean, they have the space for it. And because it's MLB, instead of building like a $1.9 billion, they're probably gonna be able to build like a $4 to $5 billion complex now.
Yeah, I definitely got to look into that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
shout out
but
to Dreamville too, because I was saying all that there, and I was talking to my insider, because I was hoping, I'm like, if it's so successful, if Dreamville is so successful, why is this the last year? But I
well,
found out,
Cole said it last year. He's
yeah,
like, it's
mm-hmm.
he's like, it's stressful.
That's the point that I was making. I was hoping it wasn't because this young black dude is getting money, but I was relieved to hear that it was pretty much his call. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think they said that they asked him to use I guess use the rights to use the word name Dreamville,
Mm-hmm.
but Raleigh just signed I think a 4 or 5 year plan to keep
5 years,
it going.
yeah.
But this is what I'm thinking is going to happen. A lot of people that was coming because of J. Cole asked them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is J. Cole now gonna advocate for these artists to come
Those same
here?
artists not gonna be there, yeah, in the future.
That's what I'm saying. So I think
Absolutely
it's
not.
gonna end up being more local, which nothing wrong with local, but man, when I was looking at the drone footage, man, I couldn't believe how many people was packed in Dick's Park.
That's what I was talking about, because it's like it definitely brings a crowd, like a crowd that I've never seen before. You can't look at regular pictures. You have to look at the pictures from overhead, the drone pictures.
Man,
And it was ridiculous.
It was crazy.
It was ridiculous. Because my youngest son, shout out to Lysa was out there, and he was with a couple of the artists. Jeff Teague, the basketball, he was talking about it on his show. Jeff Teague, it was so many people that came from out of state just for this. You know, Lil Wayne closed out Friday night. Party Next Door, he performed. Keith Coles, Ludacris. Like, the lineup be crazy. It'd be so many different people out there. But and another thing that I heard too, it was like a business play, which makes a lot of sense too, from the aspect of what they do is a lot of these music festivals, what they'll do is in the beginning, they'll do like 4 to 5 years and hopefully get picked up by a Live Nation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where they could go into partnership with Live Nation. But to your point, what you just said, in this case here, they want to still use his name, but they don't want to give him that percentage. And J. Cole, like, nah, he understands the position or the power that he's in. That's why you don't see a lot of rap festivals. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's the only one. Like,
yeah. No, when
that's
you got
here,
LL got rock
here.
the bell. LL got rock the bell, but that's LL. You know, not too many people get to put on an actual festival. And then the Roots do their thing in Philly now too.
Yeah,
they've been running for years. That's successful, but it's far and few in between. And that's what they're doing is like they want to get connected with Live Nation as long as they maintain their name and get that percentage. But like you say, what Raleigh did, that 5-year deal that they did, that has nothing at all to do with Dreamville. They're gonna try to do their own thing, and you can try to follow that blueprint. But I promise you, like you say, it's gonna be more diverse, and y'all not gonna get the same artists that J. Cole gonna get.
They're gonna bring Iggy Azalea or somebody.
Yeah. That's why I said it's gonna be more diverse.
Yeah. But that was the thing. And then a lot of people don't know, like, not Live Nation, they're going through a change right now. Live Nation, Ticketmaster, and all that, because a week and a half ago, executive order was just signed to stop the bots and all that from buying up all the pre-sale tickets and then flipping them around and selling them for, $1,500, $2,000. Yeah. So all that stuff, that executive order was signed. So now every individual state has to put it into their law. And, so it's going to be a lot of these crazy calls where people aren't going to be able to get these algorithm and bots buying up all the Beyonce tickets or the Chris Brown tickets, and the price is going to be, the price is going to be basically what the artist set the price at. So I think that's going to be something good.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I shout out to Cole, man. It was successful. I love to see it because, like you said, it was so many people out there, so many people for the pictures. I'm like, I don't know if I think I'm getting too old, man, for that type of activity. Be out there walking around all day, it's hot and sweaty. Like, I don't think I'm about that life no more. I can stick to YouTube at this point or some indoor shows.
Look, I'll be there in 20 minutes and gotta get on that grass, boy.
That's it. Got a blanket, my cooler, my chair, everything. But yeah, man, thanks for stopping through, bro. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
No doubt, man. And everybody out there, man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week, man. Love on your families while you yet can, man. Make every moment count. And as usual, signing off, DeAndre and Lysa. Know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. Till next week, peace.
All right, now.